and her mother, her husband has been absorbed into one of these cults and is lost in it, and the cult wants that little girl back for the reason that you hope desperately that nobody wants your little girl back. And she's taken, and Rick goes after her in the way that he does things, which is pretty well flat out.
Yeah,
and
very direct.
Huh?
Yes,
Rick,
he's a very direct person.
He doesn't much like killing people because they keep ending up in his head. But yes, very direct, and it all sort of fits in together. They end up back in Montana as they're attempting to. Well, you have to read the book. I mean, it's got a good ending. I think. I think personally that the assault on the assault on the bad guys, as we put it, which is being done by the computer geek roommates with no weapons, but it seems as if it's a complete assault by a company-sized group of Marines, and there are no weapons being used at all. That was fun to write.
It did.
And the other thing that comes in here, and the cult, I never thought of this before, but now you've just done something to me. The cult aspect was children who had not had a successful family. In some way, no matter whose fault it is, and it could well have been the kids, they did not feel as if they were part of a family. And what they formed in these cults were these absolute families. And in a much different way. That
was the attraction, one of the primary attractions.
Yeah, in a very, very different way. What I saw happening and went with it in the household that Rick and Eve both now belong to, with the geeks, the computer hackers, was the creation of a family of damaged people. I mean, it's a theme that has been in Aaron Sorkin's work. It's in every one of Josh Whedon's books, Buffy movies. It's people that have been damaged and cannot form loving bonds, but form a family, and they'll refer to it as a real family that supplies that sort of it supplies that love, and that's what slowly happens to the end of this book, which again surprised the living daylights out of me, and it's going to lead to a lot of fascinating things in the next book, which will occur in 1974 in New York City, and I think might involve the CIA bringing its drug-running operations back from Southeast Asia to the mainland, but it may not. But all I know is that New York City in 1974 was like comparing Syria to United States now. I mean, it was a war zone. It was filthy. It was crime-ridden, and it's that difference that is I find so interesting. I lived through it. I thought it was fun. There were all kinds of neat things in New York that are gone now. It's all sort of homogenized. Same thing as Washington. But go ahead.
I really want to mention about your especially Eve and Rick Putnam, these characters, the way you develop or the way they evolve going through your books. In other words, they're damaged folks. They've got these things that occur in their past, but they, as we are being taken through the adventure, as we're being taken through one area into another and so forth. It's a thriller, but the characters. What I like about the characters, you allow them to grow. You allow them to change. They do change going through the books. They make mistakes because we're human.
People don't. Real people don't. I guess if I had one theme when I started this process of writing books, it was that I disliked books that were unreal. I disliked books where somebody gets shot and says it's only a flesh wound. I dislike books where somebody shoots somebody and doesn't even have to produce identification before he's walking away. And I dislike people that instantly become the best, fall in love. I mean, it just isn't the way the world works. And a lot of it works by very subtle things and perhaps very dangerous steps that people take. I mean, there's a tremendously dangerous step that Eve takes where she accepts the responsibility of this incredibly wounded guy who is just a mess. And he's giving nothing back. But that's the way things happen, I guess. All I know is
he does.
I mean, I wrote television, I wrote news, and I wish I wrote better than I do. But I wish I wrote better descriptions
I really like
and whatever.
Your writing.
But thanks. If I could write like James Lee Burke, I would die happy. If I could, I read. What's his name out in Boston? Hamill. And his descriptions are fabulous. Well, I can't write like that. I mean, I can sort of tell you what happened. And I just have to live with it.
Well, Terry, I'll tell you what. I think your descriptions of like the Pine Ridge Reservation, Wounded Knee, the Prairie, that area of South Dakota, your descriptions of Washington, D.C. I've been to Washington, D.C. numerous times. It is vivid. You are right on. I think you are very good at this, Terry. I really do.
Well, a lot of it is gone. I mean, a lot of it is I'm not any of these people. I'm not that cool. I'm not that fast. I'm not that, I don't know what I'm doing 90% of the time, and I sure didn't back then. But I do remember what places were like, what it was like to be hitchhiking and sleeping in a abandoned motel halfway down the Florida Keys, or I guess I did a lot of interesting things, although I didn't think so at the time because other friends of mine were doing a lot more. But thank you. I mean, that's a high compliment. It's a high compliment, you guys having me on this show. I'm actually
it's our pleasure. I can't tell you how much
pleasantly surprised.
I want to talk about. We're going to be running out of time here pretty quick, and I'd like the audience to know you have become like a prolific writer. You are into a lot of different projects here. I'd like to bring up a couple of them.
Well, first off, it's
Please.
only because of necessity. My first book came out, and I'll talk fast. My first book came out, and 6 weeks later, my publisher went out of business, and I deny all responsibility. But I had waited 3 years for that bloody book to come out and make me some money, and it didn't. So after the fighting to get my rights back and all the reversions, and I became a publisher, and I'm now a publisher, Ronin Robot Press, and terry-irving.com if you need to go there. And I've got 3 good ones and 6 little ones, the books that I've written, a Western and a love story and a romance and a growing up book that other people have written that I've edited and produced and published, and many more coming, in a sort of a non-formal, new style. I've never met most of these people that work with me. All of them are only computer acquaintances. But yes, as another, I've written a Courier. The second book was The second book actually was the movie version of Courier, which, if anyone's listening has any interest, is up for sale. The third was the Day of the Dragon King, which is a very different book. It's a sort of a satirical adventure look at what happens if magic swept across Washington, D.C. The next book was Warrior. The next one will be, and I'm actually really excited about writing this. I did a lot of research for a documentary about how almost 1,500 Jews were rescued by being given visas into the Philippines in the 30s before the Nazis really blocked it off. And the desperate struggle they had to keep them all alive. But what Manila was like which was this crazy, mixed up, fascinating place with every ethnic you could possibly believe. So, and one of the people that I ran into was the daughter of a guy who was a private detective, a Greek-American retired soldier, private detective who worked in Manila. And so, with her permission, very nice woman, I'm developing a Greek-American private detective, and I couldn't make up the reality of this guy's life. I mean, he made most of his money gambling or racing his track, and was involved with the president and with Colonel Dwight Eisenhower at the time. I mean, it's a great story, and the place is a great place. So he's the next one, a private eye book about him, first of a series, and then it could be a young adult book about a dysfunctional America where there is no money because the 1% of the 1% has it all, or it could be the next step in Courier, which, as I said, is 1974 New York. And the beginning of a brand new morning show, which was about as... Yeah, I was... Good Morning America, most people know, on ABC. Well, I was there when they started AM America, where they fired all the producers after the first 2 weeks. And they had no idea what they were doing and did it for a year until Good Morning America started. And I had a ball because they didn't have anybody else to do anything, so I was writing and running around and doing scripts, and they were putting me up in New York in the old-style Essex House where the operators would send the bellhops up to make sure you were out of bed at 3 in the morning because you had to go to work. I mean...
Terry, I need to interrupt because, Terry, we are running out of time very quickly.
Well, there you go. Okay.
I do want to thank you. I tell you what, Terry, you are one of the most unique and fascinating people I've been able to interview so far on this program. I want to thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, Rich, it's a pleasure and it's an honor. I really am blown away that you guys asked me back.
Well, it really is. It's to our benefit as well. I want the audience to know they can learn more, obtain Terry's books, and find out more about Terry Irving at www.terryirving.com. That's TERRYIRVING.com. And www.roninrobotpress.com. That's RONINROBOTPRESS.com. And I need to tell the audience that Storytellers Campfire airs on XRQK Los Angeles on Tuesdays at 12 noon and at 8 p.m. Pacific Time, and again on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Time. And Storytellers Campfire is broadcast on Airtime America, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Indie Radio, Digital, Satellite, and HD, and Shortwave Radio. And on Spreaker on Sundays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Time. Links to all our programs are available on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube, Tumblr, and SoundCloud. And to learn more about... we seem to be. But to learn more about Storytellers Campfire, please visit us online at www.storytellerscampfire.org. And
they're good people. Visit them.
No, thank you, Terry. And again, thank you for appearing on our program today. And to our listening audience, I want to thank you for tuning into our program. To our listening audience from around the world, this is your host, Rich Gehlhausen, wishing you a great day.